We've been using Apple's 16-inch MacBook Pro with the brand new 5600M graphics option for over 2 weeks now, and the performance has been so good that we can confidently say that it actually makes sense to buy this MacBook Pro right now instead of waiting for a high-end ARM version later. The main reason is that the people who are in the market for this high-end MacBook Pro need reliable and fast performance, and there's a very good chance that the third-party apps they use right now will take a couple of years to get completely re-optimized for ARM, or at least to get to the same level as these current Intel-based Macs. Vadim discussed all of the reasons why in yesterday's video, so be sure to check it out after this one is over. So getting back to the 5600M 16-inch MacBook Pro, the performance has been nothing short of incredible. It is so good that this is the first time we're seeing a MacBook Pro matching up to the performance of desktop Macs that are even more expensive while not being portable like the MacBook Pro is. Not only did we see a massive improvement in graphics performance, so much so that it outperforms the most popular eGPU setup in every single test that we ran, which I'll show you in just a minute, but we even saw processor performance improvements as well. I even compared it to my $15,000 Mac Pro in a recent video, and we concluded that it actually makes more sense for most people to just buy the 5600M equipped MacBook Pro, where they would have needed to buy that Mac Pro just 6 months ago. Now I want to show you guys some of the impressive results comparing this new 2020 5600M MacBook Pro and the previous best, which was the 5500 8GB GPU with the same exact 2.4 GHz i9 CPU and 32 GB of RAM. But first I want to mention that you can find our new Apple product merch right below this video in the merch shelf. In terms of raw processing power using Geekbench 5, the 5600M model improved by about 250 points, and in the more realistic Cinebench R20 stress test, our score improved by around 6%, and that's impressive since it's literally the same exact CPU and the same exact chassis. We even exported 542 megapixel raw images in Lightroom, and the new model finished 3 minutes faster. That basically shows us that the 5600M graphics model somehow has better cooling for the processor itself, allowing it to clock higher and perform better. But that's not the main focus of this new machine. The major difference is the graphics. In terms of raw graphics performance, the 5600M was 50% faster than the 5500M, which was the previous best graphics option, and that's with it having the same exact 50-watt TDP. And to our surprise, we saw an even bigger difference running Unigine Heaven's gaming benchmark in Windows 10 using Boot Camp. How could this be possible with the same TDP? That is optimization. The 5600 has the more optimized Navi 12 graphics chip, and while the clock speeds have been dropped, we have 40 graphics cores instead of 24, which is how they are getting this amount of performance per watt. Naturally, we had to test gaming performance in Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone, and we found that we could get a consistent 60 FPS or higher with fairly high settings, and that was with the default bootcamp drivers, which actually were just updated, so it's probably even better performance now. This puts the 5600M in line with the RTX 2060 in terms of performance, all while having much faster memory and using quite a bit less power as well, which is why the 5600M is really impressive. We've tested multiple laptops with 2060 graphics cards, and while most of them cost quite a bit less money while offering similar performance, there is a massive drop-off in performance when you unplug the laptop. On top of that, they all require big power bricks and can't be run off of USB-C power. This is where the 5600M really shines. You get that same performance when on the go, all while getting way better battery life, about double, and you can run off of a cheap USB Type-C power bank due to the whole laptop using less than 100 watts of power. Because of this, if you need the best graphics power while on the go, the 5600M equipped MacBook will even beat out the most powerful Windows laptops like the Quadro equipped Blade Studio, while costing less and having a faster CPU. It doesn't stop there. We compared the performance of this 5600M MacBook Pro to our 5700 XT eGPU, and this thing by itself got much better FPS, which I wasn't expecting. And all of that power is built in. You don't have to deal with an eGPU, and if you watched that video from a couple days ago, you'll know that eGPUs can actually slow down performance for things like video editing. Now here is the crazy part. In terms of gaming, we tested the best Vega 48 graphics card in the 5K iMac, and it only scored 75.4 FPS under Unigine Heaven 87 in boot camp compared to this laptop's 83.8. So we can now confirm that the 5600M 16-inch MacBook Pro is by far the best value option for anybody who wants to play games in Windows 10 using Boot Camp, being a much better choice compared to buying any GPU or buying an expensive high-end Mac desktop. Now, one of the concerns that I've read is that the 5600M will overheat and lose performance during long workloads like gaming, but when we filmed our gaming review, we played for many hours under Boot Camp and the performance was consistent. This shows us that the cooling system was keeping up just fine. A lot of people also asked us about the fan noise while connected to an external display, and I can confirm that this issue is now fixed, at least with the 5600M. I connected it to Apple's 6K Pro Display XDR and the MacBook Pro was staying cool and completely silent. This is a multi-part issue with the previous MacBook, so if you want to know more, watch our How to Fix Your 16-inch MacBook Pro video. Now let's touch on productivity, where this new 5600M model continues to impress us. We ran a version of the Blender benchmark which uses graphics and it was 30% faster than the 5500M model. In our Blackmagic RAW 6K export test using DaVinci Resolve, the 5600M was an even bigger 60% faster. And we see a really good improvement in Premiere Pro as well, finishing much quicker. And then moving on to Final Cut Pro X video editing, let's also introduce the 5700 XT eGPU and compare the scores. In the 5K BruceX Benchmark, the 5600M wiped the floor with the 5500M and the eGPU was surprisingly slow. And I think that's because of eGPU optimization issues in the latest version of macOS, and that's one of the things that you have to worry about with an eGPU. Moving on to our 1-minute HEVC stabilization test, the 5600M was twice as fast as the eGPU and 50% faster than the 5500M. And we saw an even bigger difference in our 30-second C200 RAW stabilization, with this MacBook Pro finishing in only 39 seconds. So this basically shows how it not only beats the eGPU in gaming, but in video editing as well. Now there are some video editing tests that we ran where there was no difference at all between the 5500 and the 5600, and that's because the test wasn't being limited by graphics, but actually by the maximum speed of the hardware encoding. So if you're not pushing the graphics card hard, having a faster one won't help. The only downside of the 5600M graphics card option that we could find is that it's $600 more expensive than the 8GB 5500M option. That is a big difference in price, mostly due to the ultra-fast but very expensive HBM2 memory. With that said, if you're already spending over $3,000 and you need graphics performance, paying the extra price is a better value than buying an eGPU, and the power is always there. And unlike Windows laptops, you can use that power when you're unplugged as well. And I'm even gonna take it one step further. I'll say that if you're gonna buy just one more Intel-based Mac for app compatibility and for using Boot Camp before you switch to one of the future ARM Macs, the 5600M 16-inch MacBook Pro is probably the Mac that you should buy. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, tap that like button down below and click the circle above to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Check out our merch down below as well that helps support the channel. This has been Max, and I will see you in the next video.